Everybody. See how everybody is this morning? Or close to afternoon for some of you, I guess, or evening even for some. There. So who's going to be first in here today? We'll just kind of wait and see. Boy, the camera does add 10 pounds. Hi, Penny. Oh, Johnny. I'm Johnny. I'm sorry, Johnny. Hey, Johnny. You've been pretty busy lately, I noticed. Just waiting for a few people to get in here before we get started. That doesn't help much. Guess that helps you guys a little bit from the camera side, so I'll do that. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Sherry. How you doing, CJ? If I get a chance, I'll see if I can get June out here. I don't know if she'll make it or not, but thanks for jumping in. Cool. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we're starting to get some people in here now. So we got some 20 people in started. So I guess we won't belabor the point here. But if any of you were with me on Tuesday, I was turning this little piece of Redwood when it came flying off of the glue chuck that I had for this, and Redwood is a weird wood because it's a soft wood, but it's hard. If that makes any sense. And so when you're turning it, it goes through these places where you're like, you can just turn. You can see right here, I can make curls just by doing that. But at the same time, when you get to the center, it's ripping and tearing, and that tearing causes it to grab and can really kind of create a lot of force, which causes this to come off. Now, what the other thing I found out is that I had a pretty good glue attachment on here with some hot glue, but I think I went back and did it better. But also my faceplate that is attached to the block, the screws were coming loose from the banging. So what happened was the screws were coming loose, and that was causing a slight wobble. And whenever you're doing a glue check especially, you want to really make sure that everything is spinning properly. And if it's not, you're going to get that issue. So I had to remount it, and I had to kind of redo the outside surface a little bit because it was slightly out of round when I remounted it. So I got that all cleared up, and I made sure that I could make a connection on the inside. And so that's where we're at right now. And so we're going to try and, finish this bowl up. And then we got some other projects to do. And I've got a big announcement to make, so stick around. So I do have a big announcement to make, probably at about the 1 hour mark. We'll see. It is kind of early here. It's 8 o'clock in the morning here. Good morning from Ireland. How you doing, Ireland? Bogwood. Well, I haven't specifically done bogwood, but I have done um, wood that has been sitting in water for a long period of time and spalted. You know, so like they can have spalted maple and other woods around here, and that spalting process it does create a lot of the same type of effects on the wood, but not particularly bogwood. Is there something specific about that that you really like or that you find interesting? Okay, well, I'm going to turn this and let me know. And if you would, please hit the like button or double tap the screen. That really does help the channel out. I'm going to see if I can get in here, and I probably need to get my speed up a little bit. There we go. And you can hear it's got that bang, 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 bang sound as it's ticking along here. It's not just cutting smoothly. And the reason for that is that this is a very straight grained wood. So what's happening is you're constantly tearing the wood. You're not cutting through the wood, even if you have a very sharp tool. And I'll give you an example. I'll use this carbide here. And you'll notice I'm not getting curls like you do on some of the other grains of wood that I do. It's all little tiny chips. That's what it's taking off. And there's a lot of chattering. And that chattering is due to the cutting action or lack of cutting action as it's resisting, as it's tearing instead of cutting. And this is a new carbide tip on here too, so this gives you a good idea of what some woods will do. Even when they're soft and light, they can still sometimes be a little bit of an issue to turn. Now I'm going to see if I can get you in a little bit tighter view here, so you can see that. Okay, I think that'll give you a little bit better view right there. Let's see here. You see, all this is it's basically just dust. It's not, it's little scraps. And all the chips in here. And that's a rough surface. It doesn't make a nice, clean, smooth surface. You have to really work at it. So using a carbide like this, which is basically a scraper, all we're basically doing is getting a scratched or torn relief in there. So if we go to the gouge, where I can get underneath the skin just a little bit. You'll see that I get a little bit of strands. These are a little bit more of a strand, but in between they're all tears because it's still just resisting that. And look at the bouncing I'm getting. See that bouncing? That bouncing is from it not wanting to cut through. And all that puts a tremendous amount of stress on the jam chuck, or the glue chuck. That I have on the back here. So I'm going to sharpen this one more time just to see if that has any effect on it. I don't think it will have much, but I will give it a shot. Just give me a second here. That's that. I'm going to work a little bit on the secondary bevel there. Okay. And that's all that took. Get a new edge. Let's see if we can get a little bit better cut. You would not expect wood, like soft wood like this, like pine basically, to dull your blade. And yet this is having a hard time getting any kind of purchase in there. Sorry, I got my head in the way there a little bit. Got my head out of there. Sorry. Just really, it'll be more difficult than you expect. Redwood, even though it is a light wood and a straight stranded wood, it's rather a dense wood because it grows very slowly. It grows over centuries, and so the rings tend to be short, and they tend to be very, very well populated as far as the cellulose content and so forth. So looks can be a little deceiving. Let me see where we're at here. We are right about here, so we can go down a little more. If everything holds on, we should be okay. Come from the center. And out. Okay, let's see how we got there. Kind of hard to tell sometimes with all the dust flying in there. Yeah, I got a ridge right here I got to get rid of. I think I can use the carbide for that to get that out of there. It's still very rough. Let's see if I got that cleaned up some. Yeah, I did. And we got to clean up the bottom a little bit. So I'll try my my bigger scraper here and see how that works. Yes, Eric, that is the blank that I was roughing out the other day. That was giving me trouble when flying off the lathe. So kind of why I titled this one "Taming the Monster," because this was a little bit of a monster, and I learned. We'll go back over. Now we got some more people in here. We'll go back over what I found out and how we can avoid those kind of issues in the future. Yeah, I'm right down on the bottom, which is good. I want to make sure I get this nice and cleaned out, though, and nice and straight now. So we'll be able to clean that up with some sanding, but okay. Then we'll be able to get on to today's projects. And if you recall, this is I have the blade where I did the extra trimming on here, and so we're going to run that through here. See, that allows me to use this whole section to scrape the bowl up and down and get a more even side. Get all the way down. And smooth things out a little bit. Just clean up any little tiny edges. It's a great little addition to your scraper. And I do recommend it. Okay, so we got that cleaned out as best we can. Didn't make a whole lot of sanding dust there, but sawdust there. Look at all the stuff that's hidden in the little crevices and holes. When you start doing that, you start seeing all these little pits where the wood tore out instead of cut out. So we'll get in there and sand that, but it's not going to remove all of them. Just so we all understand that to begin with here. Yeah, let me take my helmet off here for a minute. What else we got going on here? Let's see. Hey, Nolan and Eric and Johnny and Tim. Hey, Tim, you're in there too? Great. Got a lot of people in here today. That's great. Please do hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We want to keep building towards our 5,000 mark. We're shooting for 5,000 in the next month or two. So we'd like it to be 5,000 subscribers by our first anniversary. But I do have some really big news to tell you all. And that is that I've been talking with a company that is willing to provide me with some blanks for pens and other things. And we're going to be doing some pens and utensils and some other stuff here in the next few episodes, along with the bowls. We'll still continue to do bowls because I know you like watching bowls, but we're going to try some other things. Um, I started like most people started. I started with pens, doing pens and mechanical pencils back 20 some odd years ago, 30 years ago, and they're fine for a while, but you do want to progress, and you figure progressing to bowls is kind of the progression that you go to, and then progressing to other things to turn and pepper mills and things like that. But I thought it would be good for me to go back to some of that, especially for people that are just starting out with a lathe. They can watch that too. Although I know there's a lot of guys on the channel that do it. I think I can bring a little bit of a different perspective to it. I'm going to put this in reverse for a minute. I'm going to kick up the speed. When reverse allows me to get those little pits out of there a little bit better. You can see the fine dust coming out of there going into my dust collector. Okay, yeah, we'll do one more, and then we will put a finish on this, and we'll call this one a done bowl, or at least a mostly done bowl. I do have memberships, and one of the things I'm thinking of doing on the memberships ones is to do some lives where for just for members to show you kind of the behind the scenes of what I do to get prepared for the shows, and also the work that I do after the fact on some of these bowls to get them ready for sale. Because I know that people don't like to watch somebody, you know, sanding and drawing stuff for hours on end. That doesn't draw many viewers. It doesn't draw much interest. But that is an important part of, if you want to be able to sell your items, you have to make it look as good as you can before you put it out on the market. So let me get my vacuum here just real quick to clean this out. I don't want this to get into the finish. All right. Clean up my mess a little bit as I go. It's amazing how much wood shavings you get in just a couple minutes of turning. The other day, I was just doing couple little cleaning cuts after I remounted this, and the floor was covered with sawdust already. I was like, "Damn, I didn't even hardly take anything off." But that shows you how small those particles are and how they really spread, which is why you want to have good ventilation going on in the shop, and you want to have good mask and ventilation for your breathing, because otherwise this stuff is going into your lungs. So let us get this in here. You'll be able to see what it looks like in a minute. And these little chip brushes that you can get at Harbor Freight. You can get a whole box for $10. You get like 100 of them for $10, and they are just great. I mean, I use the same brush for 2 or 3 months, just putting on finish, and it gets into all those little special places you couldn't get to if you were just rubbing it on. And you're not applying a fine finish of paint or something. You're just spreading oil in a sense. So it's the perfect tool and very inexpensive and a great way to finish off your bowl. I'm going to put some more of this on the outside too, just so you can get the whole effect here. We did keep that inclusion that, if you remember from the other day, on the bowl here, and I'll show you what that looks like here in just a minute. And I think it just kind of sets it off a little bit. Just gives it a little extra look to it. I'll get a little bit more here on the end grain. And this is a pithy bowl still. And I may go back and try and do some fine sanding on it to try and get that pithing down before I present this to a buying audience. But for now, this gives you the idea, and that's what we're working on, is the idea here of the bowl. It's already dry on the inside after just a couple minutes. Okay, let me do that. Okay. And I'll let that set for just a second, and then I'll wipe it off, and you'll get to see what the preliminary, at least, look of this bowl is. What else is going on out there? I see, let's see, Eric, Tim, Harmon, Chandra, yeah, it's when these things come off the chuck, you got to be. That's why you don't stand directly in front of it, like I am right now. You don't stand directly in front of your tool, and then you have a tool rest also, which helps protect you just a little bit. But you never stand in front of your spinning item like this. And you never have anything loose that can get caught, because it can become a tourniquet really quick. Okay, so there we go. That's what it's going to look like. Let me take it off of here. I'll let you see what it was. This is my poplar with hot glue holding it on to the faceplate. This thing weighs nothing. Even with this, it's going to weigh even less when I take it off of there. It's going to weigh maybe an ounce. Is about all it's going to weigh. As you can see, it's a nice deep bowl. You don't want to pull yourself up short. When you pull yourself up short, it always looks like you didn't kind of complete the bowl. You want to make sure that you keep that angle going down, and that you really make it look like same on the inside as it does on the outside as far as that goes. Now, there is some there's some chattering on there in the inside. I don't know if you can see it very clearly. See right there a little bit. And that I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out even with sanding, because that's just what happens with the wood, and sometimes you just can't fight it. But this is the outside of the wood. I love this part, and you can see that on the inside too. So, it has a really nice look. It has a lot of different wood colors in this wood, but it is a redwood piece. And it's a little bit wet right now because it's soaking in that oil. When it dries out, this will become a little bit redder. This darkness will go away a little bit. It'll lighten up. We'll put it out in the sun today, and it'll be just fine. And I'll probably bring it back, do a little bit more sanding, and then maybe do a wax coat on the end of this, just to kind of brighten it up a little bit and buff it up a little bit. But for right now, this is what it came out as. So. And taking this off is merely taking a hot air blower, and and that will melt this very quickly. It's very low temperature melt on this hot glue, and you just take that and then you just pry it off with like a chisel or something, a couple whacks, and the whole thing comes off. You have to get rid of all this glue again, but and then sand the bottom and finish the bottom off, and you're done. So there'll be a little bit more work to this, but this is the basics of the bowl, and I hope you like it. Okay, so we're going to move on to another project here, and that is these twins. And I've been contemplating them because they are a little different. One is deeper than the other, and I was thinking maybe I can turn them two different ways. It depends on the cooperation of the wood, to be honest with you. You start off with a plan, and then you let the bowl kind of tell you what it wants to do. I think I might be able to put a tenon on this, turn it around, and do a traditional type bowl with this one, maybe. But this one I may turn the other way. I may turn this from the outside. They both have a glue. They're both glue chucked also because I didn't want to leave any screw marks in case I wasn't going to do that. So my first inclination is to treat them the way they are, with this being the bottom, which I can sand off later on and create something out of this. But let's just get creative as we go. I want to see how the wood turns. It's juniper. I've turned a couple juniper pieces before, and they came out very nicely. They turn a little bit like they turn a little bit like pine, but they're a little bit harder, a little bit stronger. They're a little less fibrous than pine is. Okay, we're good there. And let me see. I'm doing adjustments as I'm thinking and going here, so bear with me as I do this. I think maybe coming at it from this angle. Yeah, let me try this angle first. We'll see how it works, okay? So if you have any suggestions along the way, feel free to put them in the comment section. Love having conversations. We got 275 people in here. I'd like to see some likes. We should at least be able to get to 100 likes today. I'm at like 18 right now or something like that. So please double tap the screen, hit the like button, subscribe if you can. That would be appreciated too. We're really looking to keep building up the subscribers. I'm going to take that down a little bit. Okay. I'm just kind of getting a feel for it right now. I knew there's some bark on the outside here I want to get off. Okay, I think I'm seeing how it's going to spin. That gives me some idea. Now I can kind of come in here with my tool rest at the right location and go from there. There we go. All right, I think I see what I want to do. Got to get through this bark. Let's get some solid wood in here if we can. Now this wood that I got here came from a local turner who passed away. And he was pretty good at preserving his wood, but he didn't write on the outside what they were. So we don't know for sure what the wood was. But pretty certain that this is, now look here, we got this crack. That's interesting. I'm going to have to follow that down. If this is cracked all the way through, we're going to have a problem. So we're going to have to see what it does here on the sides. I might just have a big, huge chunk come flying off on me here. And see, he used paint to preserve his wood so that it wouldn't crack. So I could not see through the paint to see that there was a crack that had already formed under the bark here. You note that I'm standing safely way back here. In fact, let me get my curtain spread out there a little bit more in case it does go flying. It'll get absorbed in the curtain. So, I have no way of knowing if that crack goes all the way through or not. And if it does, I'm going to have to treat that with some glue or something before we get too much further. So I might have to put a hold on this piece. Yeah. That almost looks like somebody took a bandsaw and started cutting, because it's a very straight cut and it's not anywhere where it would normally crack. That looks like a bandsaw cut, which makes me wonder how far down did it go. So we'll just keep working it. We'll see what we come up with. You see how this is a straight wood, sort of like the Redwood was, but you notice I'm getting curls out of this that we weren't getting out of that Redwood earlier. And that's kind of what I was talking about. It's, make sure I'm still tight there. Okay. Is that it? And we're starting to get some nice, some other little things in here, like a little branch inclusion or something. I don't know. It's just weird. Just weird. You know, I think I'm going to do is I'm going to switch going to the side here. I was going to leave this as a wing, but I don't think I can anymore because I got to look and see what this looks like on the outside. So I'm going to do this. Just so I can see where that cut, how deep that cut goes. And you'll notice I'm using my undercut approach. let the tool do the work, and you see how quickly we start getting. There's even got newspaper attached on here, or a magazine or something. I'm not sure. You see how quickly we start getting rounded. Okay, so that really is the technique to use. Much better than going at it with a roughing gouge, in my opinion. A lot less beating. Here, getting really close. Okay, now, I still can't see. Now it doesn't have a cut here, so that's what I can see. So maybe that only goes down this far. I I can't tell, but it looks like that cut maybe only goes down this far, which, if that's the case, I can work with that. Let me kind of clean that out. Okay. There's a small crack there that can be dealt with. The cut looks like it stops here still, so that's looking good. Okay, well, we're just going to have to, we're going to change the look of this bowl. That's what we're going to do, and see if we can't do something about that. Okay, how are we coming? We're getting there, getting there. Yeah, that cut does not go all the way through. It only stops, it stops here. That a little bit of flat spot there, that crack right here, I think I can eliminate. In fact, let me try and eliminate that crack right now. Let's bring this up at an edge. Yeah, we're right on that crack, so okay. It's gonna look like a spaceship when I'm done with it, I think. But that'll just kind of add to the look of the bowl. I think it'll look kind of cool. And that's kind of the fun of doing these, right? Is that you get a chance to create. I'm going to start creating. So that crack is not really going to be a problem for us anymore. I might fill that in with a little bit. You know what? I'm gonna do my old wood trick here. I'm gonna put a little bit of wood glue in there, if I can. This isn't locked up. There we go. And a little bit in there. And I'm going to put a little bit of these wood shavings in there. Get some of the darker stuff. That'll work. I'm just going to push that in the crack. And I'm going to let that go for a couple minutes. We'll go on to something, go on to the rest of this, and then we'll come back to that and we'll clean that up a little. But in the meantime, let's kind of finish this off. Boy, that just doesn't, that's really in there. So, let's see. Gonna have to do sort of a hollow turning here. What we're gonna end up doing. Yeah, we're getting there. Well, that's kind of cool because we weren't planning to do that today, and we'll end up doing a hollow turning, and I think that'll be instructive too. So stick around for a hollow turning. Okay. And I need to make this just a little bit sharper. There we go. Okay. And I want you to see how clean that cut is. Just using the gouge, you can get a pretty darn clean cut. Now I'm going to go back over that with a one-nose scraper just to kind of smooth out some of the little spaces. Take all those little tool marks off. Oh yeah, that's really nice and smooth there. And there's where that cut is. So I'm going to deal with that too with that same little bit of glue, just to give it a little bit of reinforcement here. I don't think it'll be a big problem, but now that we can see where that glue cut, that cut is, we can kind of deal with it a little bit. Now, yes, you could use CA glue in there and make everybody wait a while the CA glue takes effect and all that, but you know what? This is just as good of an approach. This is just as good of an approach. So I'm going to rub that into there really good, really hard. Okay. Get that into that glue. And I think I'm going to have just a little bit more glue because I think it rubbed into that hole good. So I'm going to do it just a little bit more. This is how we hide. This is how we hide a crack. Okay. It does a pretty darn good job. Put a little wood glue in there. Take some of your shavings. Put it on top there. Tap it in really good and tight so they're getting into the crack. Scrape across the crack like so. And across like this because you want it to go into the wood, into the crack, not scratch it off the crack. Okay, now right now it's wet and you'll see that. But you also notice the crack is gone. Okay. And what we will do is we will let that, we'll be working other parts and we'll let that dry. Okay. So what'd you say? Oh, hey, Michael. 247 in here watching, only 33 likes. Yeah, come on. I would really like to see more likes, folks. If you would, please double tap the screen. I'd really appreciate that. Hey, Plywood. Didn't notice you were in here. Thank you. Juan and everybody else that's been in here. Sorry, I've been kind of busy taking care of the bowl and wasn't paying attention here. So my skew turned up yesterday, sharpened and tested today. We'll drop a video. Great. I want to see that, Wilson. Want to see how that looks and see what your skill level is on that new skew. Okay, so we got the outside done. Now I can go to the back of the inside, and we are going to make this is the top of the wool. That's not a tenon that I'm making right there. This is where we're going to make our hole. I'm thinking I might need to sharpen again soon. That is just about the edge right there. Yeah. This is going to be a challenge, I can tell you. There we go. Now we're establishing an edge. There's going to be a lot of wood to remove here. We got to remove the middle so we can get around and get on the inside to get to the edge of the inside, the inside edges. So we'll just work it from the ridge out and then the ridge in and then center out. Sorry if I get in the picture a little bit, but I have to kind of do that. In the first cut, you don't think you did bad. Okay, good. Considering, I see you're even editing yourself now. How you deleted your own message? The moderators on here can edit others, but you can all edit yourself too. So that's kind of the thing. Denise, is that the name, Denise? Hello, and welcome, and to the rest of you, please hit that like button and subscribe. I mean, it's funny how we keep going from 200 people down to 100 people to back up to 200 people. It kind of goes up and down. I'm trying to get as much of an angle as I can with this tool before I go in with the hollowing tool. So that hollowing tool takes a lot of pressure. And I want to make sure that it's not being overpressured and cause a problem with the chuck. So let's see where we're at. We are right about to here right now. Right about there. So we can go down to about here. That gives me enough space on the bottom here. So I can go right out to where that tip is. And I should be okay. Oh, don't tell me my... Well, my mass battery lasted less than an hour again. It's supposed to last 14 hours. As much as I like this mask, I may have to think of another mask to get. I've been using this trend now for about a year or so, and it was working really well, but it doesn't. The batteries, for some reason, they say they're charged, but then they only last a short period of time. They're supposed to last. You charge them for like, no, you charge them for like a day, and they're supposed to last 14 hours. And I had that on all day yesterday. It was charging, and today it's not working again. So go figure. Yeah, I switched them there. Check my phone here. Everything's okay. Good. All right. Oh, sorry guys. Sorry guys. Sorry, that was me. I touched my phone. You should never touch your phone. On the Redwood bowl, do you think that the base plate caused the bowl to break away? I do use hot glue, and it wasn't necessarily the hot glue. What it was a couple of the screws on the faceplate itself that was holding my piece of poplar wood onto it was. See if I can show you here. They got loose. These right here. These got loose somehow, and I think it's because this is I did not use really strong, long screws because I only wanted to go through this little ½ inch here. Usually I make these in 3/4 inch and they have a longer screw. So what happened was the wobble started from here, and that's what caused the stress and the wobble, which then caused this to loosen and come off. So it was one thing causing another. So it was kind of a series of errors. So you really do need to make sure that you're connected. Now this chuck has 3/4 inch, or actually almost a full inch, and it's got longer screws in it, and they're holding just fine. So that was kind of the issue. Oh, let me well, I got this off. Let's go back and check on that. That looks good. That looks good. We got that little nick there. That's okay. Yeah, we'll be able to sand some of that out of there. Okay, so let me get going here again. It's really hard to get the bite. Okay, I think we are just about bottoming out there where we need to be. Kind of clean that out as we go, but we'll get in here with this first. Whoa! And that was the problem again. Yeah. I got most of it done there. See there? But that's what happens sometimes. This didn't stick well. The glue, you notice the glue did not stick well to this paint. All the glue stayed on here. And what you usually do is you want to create a crosshatch here so that it has a little bit of something to grab into in the wood. I didn't do that because I left the paint on here. I probably should have taken the paint off because the paint is not a good surface for the glue to grab onto. And so that's on me. Okay, but we got the general idea of the bowl, which is what I wanted to get across here. Okay, and what we're going to do then is we're going to, and I was getting pretty aggressive. We want to get in there and just hollow this out. And I'll do that. I'll reattach it and we'll hollow it out. Maybe on our next video. We'll finish that one off. I'm sorry for that one, but that's just what happens, guys. Redwood bowl. Do you think that yeah, I use hot glue too, but again, one of the tricks for hot glue, like I said, is to make sure that both surfaces have enough adhesion. And I didn't take the time to really take the paint off of here, and I think that's what this paint kept it from adhering really good to it, and that's what happened. So, my bad. I'll be able to fix this. It's not a big deal, and we'll end up with a nice bowl. So, yeah. So we'll switch over to the other one. This one. And this one might have the same problems that we had on the other one. I don't know. I think this one will do more traditional. We're gonna round off the edges, cut in the middle, and I think we're gonna keep the wing on the ends here. So let's start with this and see where we go with it. Okay. Well, let me take it down just a little bit because it's a little bit uneven. There we go. And this again is a glue chuck. So usually you've seen them work just fine. We've just had a little bit of problem lately. Maybe it's the quality of the glue I was using. I don't know. I try to buy a quality glue stick, but then again, it is all in the preparation. Like I said, like I probably should have taken the paint off, and I did not take the paint off of this one either. So we may have the same issue. So I got to be careful about how much I'm pressing it as we go. I see we lost quite a few viewers right there, which is kind of unusual. No, this battery says it's done. I don't get it. People at Trend are going to get a nasty phone call from me, I think, because this is I've had been problems with their charging system over and over again, and that's just not good. So, but yeah, next week I got a new sponsor coming online. Well, not a sponsor so much as a provider of products, and I'm going to do a little unboxing as soon as it gets here, and you'll be able to see. We get to be able to see some of the things that we got sent and what we plan to do with them. So we'll be able to make some plans. I do have a little should I say doctor visit coming up this next week, so I will not be doing anything on Tuesday or Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, but I may do something on Sunday. And again, it's coming off, guys. This is just not my day. These are not sticking. I think it was the paint. I didn't account for the paint being such an issue with the glue, but I can clearly see the glue did not stick at all on this. It just didn't. So back to the drawing board on these. I've never had this much trouble with hot glue. Usually hot glue sticks very well and stays on very strongly. And as you can see, it's sticking very well to this wood. It just came off this. So I'm thinking it must have been he might have used an oil paint, not a latex. And that could be too, because oil paint would not allow that. So again, when you're working with stuff that you don't know, these things happen, and that's why I use wax, and that's why I clean them off the surfaces before I do it. So, anyways, well, this is the other one that we were doing, and it's gonna look really nice. It's got some nice figuring on the inside here, so I think that's gonna look really good. Okay, and let's see here. And we got the Redwood bowl finished. For those of you that didn't see it, but there's the Redwood bowl that we got finished. And it's, by the way, still on its glue chuck. And I don't always use glue chucks, but on these particular pieces of soft wood where you can't get a strong tenon, that's what I use. It's just the easiest way to do it. So we do have a couple of alternatives here. Oh boy. And one of them we'd only be able to get part of it today, but we've got this bad boy right here. And we can get it going if you'd like to see that. And so if I see a lot of people leaving, but if you want to see this, stick around and we will get this going. We just need to put that as much in the center as we can. I can do a little bit of measurement here. Let's see, we got 10 inches this way and 9. That's about right. And a little this way. Not a perfect measurement. It's just an about. Right about there. That should be pretty even. Okay. So we'll just get this one started. This is going to be a little bit of work because it is a big, heavy piece of wood. There we go. One down. And get down on the other side here too. Then it won't move on me, and I'll be able to do the rest of it. There we go. Make sure those are snug. There we are. Here we are. Okay. And hello to the rest of you that are coming in. You can watch us try a little something more substantial here. Oh, well, I like that one. There we are. There, and one last one. Which one are you going to volunteer? Here we go. Needed a volunteer still. Oops. There we go. All right, that is on there nice and secure. It will not be coming off. It is going to be a little bit wobbly at first because it is out of round, as you can see. So we're going to have to take this a little bit slower. There we go. That looks about right. And let's see what we can do here. We're up to 46 likes, guys, and 57 people in here. I'd like to see a few more, but let's see what we got. See what we can do with this. It's hitting right there. Okay. Don't want it to hit. There we go. Okay. We'll try and get this in the round as soon as we can. It's really, well, it's really banging it. Whew. Really banging my hand here. Okay, let me see here. Oh, I see why. I'm going way too deep here. That's why. Okay. Let me go up here. You know what the issue was is I wasn't watching. I was looking down here where my tool was going instead of looking up here at the top where I can see the profile. So error on my part. Okay. Okay. So now what we're doing is we are slowly getting this into round. Okay. I can move this up a little bit. That was fun. There are injuries in this game. Okay. Just like in any sport, this is kind of a sport. Okay. Turn that on. I think I'm going to put my dust collecting on here too. I'm going to pick up the speed just a little bit. We got a flat spot here. So we are getting to round. Okay. I think I'll give this a little bit of a sharpening. It might give me a little better advantage on that. You see how much I rely on this one gouge. It is, it's an all-purpose grind. I can just use it for so many things. I can use it on the inside and the outside of the bowl. I don't have to keep switching to different tools and different gouges as much. It is the standard for me in my shop. Maybe not for everybody. Some people want to use the roughing gouge, which is perfectly fine. That's what they want to do. But I think this works equally, if not better. Whoa, that was a big piece that came off there. That big old chunk right there came off. Yeah. Let's put part of the scatter on there. But it's getting better. I'm gonna put. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to put a face mask on for a minute. So pardon my not speaking for just a moment. But this is really dusty work right here, and with my head filter not working, I don't want to be breathing this in. So bear with me for a minute. in there. Okay. I think I can adjust in this a little bit more. Oh, wait a minute. Still close. Still closer. Yeah. Just right here. Just a little bit more. We're getting closer now. A little bit of rounding here. We are pretty much round. So I think we're pretty much round there. So what about this blank? Oh, I'm sorry. This is ash. This is ash. It's a very hard, solid wood. As you can tell, it's pretty grainy right here, but as we get into actual turning, it will smooth out and it will look really nice. We have a lot of pressure cracks to deal with. But what the hell? we'll deal with what we got. I think we pretty much achieved round. Just kind of clean that off a little bit. Do a little push cut here. Yeah, hot. Okay. All right. I'm going to put the gouge down for a minute, and I'm going to go to the bullnose scraper here. See if we can't straighten this out a little. Okay. Now you see I've got a much smoother surface there. A lot of stress cracks coming off of here. I don't care about those. I think they create kind of they create some character to the whole thing. So I'm not going to be too worried about those right now. Okay. Now we need to deal with this bottom here. So we'll just leave that alone for a minute. Leave that alone and get to the bottom. Now we got a rounded bowl. Whoa! Keep getting a big chunks thrown at me. Okay, now I can just kind of flatten this out. Let's see where that chunk came off from, but it was a pretty nice little chunk of wood. Having pieces of wood flying at you is something you got to get used to when you're a turner. We are. Oh yeah, that's nice and flat, pretty flat there. A little high right in the middle. Okay, that looks good. Carry that around. Well, we'll carry that around to this side here. Okay. See how that looks. That's almost like 220 grit sanding already just from the skew. Alex Contreras. Oh no, I'm sorry, nothing on that. It's double. So let's get some other comments going on in here, folks. I'd like to hear from the rest of you. We've had a lot of people in here, and then we kind of had some drop off a little bit. But please subscribe. If you have a chance to do that, subscribing that costs you nothing, and it allows us to continue to build our brand. We are starting to get the look of some um, sponsors that will help pay for some of all this, because there's a lot of work involved in a lot of money involved in this, and that's why I started doing memberships also. So if you want to be a member, you can get in there and you can see some of the other stuff that goes on, or how to build your own channel up also. Okay, let's set this. Okay. I'm going to get my chuck and see how close I am on the fit. Oh yeah, I'm right there. So we will just clean that up. Let's clean out just a little bit nicer. Well, CJ, I don't know if you're still on here, but if you are, there's June. She just went by. June, you want to say hi to CJ? If she was in here earlier, I don't know if she still is.
Hi, CJ.
There you go.
Hi, Dad.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Hi, CJ. Hi, Dad.
There you go. So, I think we got our tin in. We got our tin in. Now I just need to do some sanding here. And just out of curiosity, how much would a bowl like the Redwood one realistically sell for? Well, oh, Redwood bowl like this, depending on the marketplace and where you are. I mean, here in California, Redwood's a dime a dozen, so it probably wouldn't sell as much. If I had this Redwood back in Ohio, probably a little bit more. But as a ballpark, a utility bowl like this, you know, probably $20. Depending on the market, but it could be as high as 30, 35. It's considered more exotic in other places. But when it's totally finished, I'd say at least $20. If that gives you some sort of an idea. Okay. Now, something like this, if I get this turned out, this also could sell for $20 just because of the uniqueness and the fact that it's kind of going to be a hollow bowl turning where it's going to be turned inward all the way down here. That's going to look like a spaceship, sort of. It's great for holding candles. Right now, you can put a candle in here, no problem. But if I hollow that out, it looks a little more interesting. People kind of flip it around and they look at it and go, and so that probably could go for 15, $20 also. So just give you an idea. Now, something like this, if I turn it well enough and it comes out looking well enough, and I don't necessarily know with all these cracks it necessarily will, but we'll see. If I was to turn this whole bowl out, maybe more like 35 to 50, somewhere in that range. So let's start sanding this out and see what we can do from here, because that's getting on to 2 hours here pretty soon. And well, that explains a little something. My microphone fell. You can probably hear me a little more clearly now. And then that fell on my hand, my foot. So if you didn't hear earlier, because of the noise or whatever, like I said, this would probably sell for, depending on the marketplace and where you're at in the country. Out here in California, probably $20. If I was in Ohio, maybe 30, 35. This one probably 15 to $20, something like that. Depends on the market. Okay. The next grid up. I'm paying special attention to that end grain. There we go. Oh, okay. Yeah, that bottle's looking really nice right there. Okay, last one, I promise. Okay. All right. Oh, now I can take that dust mask off. Turn this off. Whew. And I'm going to put a little finish on the outside of this so you can see what it looks like. And before I do that, I just want to see what the moisture content is. It's 7.4, so this is 8.0. This is nice and dry. That is as dry as it's going to get this time of year. When we pour this on, it's going to suck right in, but not on the side grain, but on the end grain. When it gets the end grain, it's just going to disappear. It's like that. So you apply it on the side grain so it doesn't, and you let it run down into that end grain a little bit so it doesn't get soaked up before you get a chance to brush it. Makes it a little easier on the application. Oops. Well, that wasn't good. I just cleaned my lathe a little bit. Just oiled up my lathe. Okay. We got that nice on there. Now we'll come around here on this. And kind of takes on the look of a honey oak sort of color. If you remember that from the 80s and 90s, when it was on everybody's kitchen. Okay. There you get an idea of what's going to look like I'm going to put some more on the end green here. It seems to really want it. It's already dried here on the end green. So it's just sucking that right in like a straw. Okay. I think that's pretty good there. Okay. Letting that soak in just a little bit. Okay. And there we are. All right. So what do you think, guys? Yes. I think it's looking pretty nice. But you know what? I'm going to stop here for the day, I think. And we'll turn this around and we'll finish these, hopefully. And we'll finish this one on our next live. So if you're subscribed, you will know when that next live is, or you have to watch for it. Probably will be Saturday or Sunday. We'll have to wait and see. And then I'll be off for a few days because of some little medical procedure, and then back on next Thursday. So I appreciate y'all being in here today. If you haven't hit the like button, please do it. If you'd like to be a member, that's great. Subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next video. And we're probably going to have a box opening next week, I hope.